What's up YouTube, Core51 here, time for another video, and we finally have more Persona 5 news. I have not read this article, so you guys can I'm just gonna go through it right now. I'm excited. I mean, we heard nothing, so we get something, and it's a translated article from Gematsu, and it just appeared up on my feed, and I just wanted to just make a video and like talk about it. But essentially, I'm just gonna read it straight up, just no in betweens, just go straight up. Japanese Persona magazine interviews Atlus staff on Persona 5 and Dancing All Night. Good, thank God. Okay, so Persona 5's picaresque themes, Dancing All Night's scratch mechanics, and plenty more discussed. Oh yeah, that's it. That's what I want. Last week, Atlus and Dengeki put out another issue of the Persona magazine in Japan to commemorate February's Persona 5 and Persona 4 Dancing All Night related announcements at the Persona Super Live concert. As the publication has previously been home to exclusive interviews with Atlus staffers that aren't without some intellectual substance, my translation of one such interview around this time last year is how I got a job with this very site. In fact, I had a friend of the site ship me a copy of this new issue, and as expected, it's home to 3 new interviews with 4 prominent members of the Atlus Persona team. Okay, so pretty much this dude. Okay, so these interviews have all been translated in full as per usual, but given the bulk of the content, we've decided to split it up across several pages. Oh my god, this means there's a lot, right? There's a lot. This initial introduction constitutes page 1. Page 2, meanwhile, sees Persona 5 director and producer Katsura Hashino, yo, my dude, talking with character designer Shigeniro Sojima, dude, godlike, about the production and reception of the recent trailer for that game, as well as some of the game's overarching thematic inspirations and why the team is going with a thief motif this time around. Then, on page 3, we have an interview with Kazuhiro Wada, producer and director of Persona 4 Dancing All Night, where he discusses a variety of things about the development of the long-awaited rhythm game spin-off, ranging from gameplay philosophies to character and dance designs. Whew, that's a lot. Finally, on page 4 is the last interview with Ryota Kozuka, a major internal composer at Atlus who's also done a lot of work on Dancing All Night. His interview specifically focuses more on the actual music of the game. Key points of interest include his inspirations for making the game's opening theme dance, disco themed, as well as what's it's been like to recruit outside talent for the myriad truths, remixes, among other things. Okay, so essentially everything here is just a summary of what I'm expecting to read, and I hope it's very important. That's about the long and short of it. To get started on the interviews themselves, feel free to use either the table of contents below. Okay, that's fine. Don't need to read anymore. Katsuhiro Hashino and Shigeru Sojima. Let's go. Come on, load faster. Come on, Australian internet. Ah, these two. Oh man, just like hanging out, and I see the Persona 4 arena concept art. Oh, does that mean that he loves Persona 4 Arena sometimes? Oh, dude, serious. I love Persona 4 Arena, so that's good for me. Let's see. So it's pretty much Persona Magazine asking them questions, right? So I'll try to play the part of Persona Magazine. So you finally brought out the first big proper trailer for Persona 5 recently at the Persona Super Live 2015 concert. How's the reception to it been? Hashino? It's been a massive outpouring, and we're really happy to see people are into it as much as they are. It's a huge relief to all of us on the team to have things turn out that way. Still, it's also indicative that the anticipation is running really high among people who have enjoyed our work up until now. So it's not without some pressure coming our way too. And Sojima, I'd say we managed to show off quite a bit of good stuff in that footage too. Hashino then says, for sure, the main reason we went for this is to reassure people that production on this thing is still going forward, and that it's doing just fine. I mean, we went a long time without showing much of the game after we initially announced it, so it's only fair, and we also just wanted people to see how excited we are to see how excited we are to be working on it by showing off all these different parts of it. Okay, so pretty much the question is, how do you guys feel? And Hashino's just like, we feel really good. And I think Sojima just pretty much hinted saying that we've just shown all the best elements that we wanted to show, and it wasn't like a a trailer, like they didn't want to just fluff it out. They wanted to show specific things that they knew that fans really wanted to see, and it worked. I mean, as of this, I haven't checked the viewings yet, but it's probably reached 2.5 mil at this point, just because of how catchy the music is and how pretty much just well made that trailer was. And and pretty much Hashino is just saying that he wanted to reassure us that the game is perfectly fine. It's not a Last Guardian situation where we've heard nothing from it, we've seen nothing from it, we've only heard things about it, but we've finally get something from it. So congrats to Hashino, congrats to Shojima, you guys made an excellent trailer. Alright, so moving along, I feel like this video is going to be a long while, so if you guys need to go somewhere, just take a break and just like pause that video and do your things, and you can come back, and then we're going to keep going. But I'm going to keep going. So you've definitely made it abundantly clear that the art style is going for a poppy aesthetic with the color red sitting at its foundation. What are your impressions of people's opinion on that direction? Okay, this is a question I would have asked actually. So Shojima, the art director, responded, "We've gotten a lot of kind people saying that the game's even more stylish than what we've done before. That was kind of unintentional on our end." Really? Okay, alright, that's surprising. Though we weren't trying to go out of our way to make people explicitly feel our game is stylish so much as to show that aesthetically. It's picking up where Persona 4 left off. In a sense, a lot of time has passed since the game originally came out, and the hurdles we've had to clear have only gotten higher since then. So this style is ultimately a reflection of those efforts on our end. Okay, so what Tsujima's pretty much saying is that yes, Persona 4 came out, we had a dramatic style change from Persona 3 to Persona 4, but like, I think Tsushima recognized that Persona 4's aesthetics was really it connected with a lot of people, so he didn't want to just like do a different style change and alienate their people. So he wanted to, from what I can see, he just wanted to improve on it, but he improved on it in a way that all the fans, all of us, pretty much said, wow, that looks way more stylish than anything that's come before it, which is kind of true. But to him, he just wanted to make an improvement on the Persona 4 art style. So in that regard, because like, to me personally, I feel like it combines elements of Persona 3 and Persona 4, which is what I thought he's like for. But I guess he did those elements, but he did them in a very mystical way. I think what people are responding to is the new like sort of like the Phantom Thief and that sort of aesthetic, where we as people who look at that, we want to like we associate it with something that's way more stylish. Like for me, when I watched that trailer, like you guys saw my reaction, I thought it looked like Tuxedo Mask, who was a very sort of like a very sort of like very mystical kind of character who he embodies the gentlemanly, the thief, the stuff, all these aesthetics, all these motifs. So I think of it as a style. So maybe that's what people were saying, that's the style. But maybe to him, he's just looking at art style. So, that's really interesting. The way he just responded to that, saying like, "Oh, we didn't mean it to be that stylish. We thought it was pretty normal." But people's opinions change with different things. So Hashino then responded to this question. "I'd say the same is true with our character modeling too. With Catherine, yo, dude, okay, I need to read this. We made characters that were more realistically proportioned, but applying that philosophy back into Persona doesn't necessarily work. It just gives off an altogether different vibe going that route. So there was some reshaping on that end that we had to do to make it worked the way we wanted. Even the UI design got a similar treatment too. It took a lot of trial and error to get right, but we've ended up with a style that we feel works well within the confines of the Persona series. The Gaia Japanese onomatopoeia here you see during the trailer is also an extension of that." Okay. It's probably the giant letters of Japanese I could not read, or kanji. But what Hashino is saying is that that's weird. That's a weird quote, because to me personally, he said with Catherine we tried to make realistic proportions. That's true. He tried to. They wanted to portray a mature story. It was because it was very the story was very mature. It dealt with very unique themes that aren't really explored much in our society, especially with cheating and unfaithfulness and like other things like that, of that nature. And but with the Persona series, yes, the proportions are a bit wacky, way more anime style, I think is what he's trying to say. Because if you look at the because character models, he's talking specifically about the character models. If you look at the character models from Persona 3 and 4, they aren't sort of realistically proportioned models. They're very it's because of, I think it's personally because of just technical limitations of just like they wanted to go with an art style, they didn't want to overdo it with the realism, so they made it very anime, very stinted. But in this case, because it's a HD console, and clearly from Catherine was their HD concept sort of test bed of using of getting the Persona team used to developing for a HD console. So in this case, and also there weren't 3D models in Persona 4 Arena, so that doesn't count because they were using sprites, and those sprites were pretty much made by Arc System Works. They weren't made by, at least I think they were supervised by Sojima, but in this case they're working with 3D models, so they have to make it, because what I think is the cutscenes now have to be different. But back then, the limitations of the cutscenes, like just a normal conversation between characters, was portrayed using a visual novel style. Like it was a visual novel split with the 3D models in the background. But in this case, they wanted to showcase the 3D models more. So they took some of that out, and as you can see, like some of the stuff like that. So I think yes, Hashino made the right call. He wanted to make sure that the 3D models were proper, if you know what I mean. They didn't want to just make it just, they didn't want to just rip it out of Catherine. They had to make it so it fits into, because it's a thing where Persona, like, and I'm sure that Persona like cast now is not like so different, like it's not like outlandish or anything like that, but they do have, I'm getting really tired, but I'm gonna work through it. But essentially the models had to be really adjusted to fit the style of the game, and also the UI, which looks really good. Like it's actually really good. So that's what I mean by UI design. He probably had to make sure that the 3D models are what act out the cutscenes, not just the character portraits. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm about halfway done, and I feel like I've talked about a lot. The game's themes have been described to be picaresque in nature. Could you elaborate on that a little bit more? So now we're going to talk about the theme. So Hashino responded, if there's one thing that lies at the center of our themes in the game, it's the notion people have that there are things that they want to do with their lives but can't actually realize for one reason or another. They've got something circumstantial holding them back, or maybe it's even just the rational half of their brain. Something along those lines. I feel as though people like that often tend to take well to thief and heist stories because they get a certain thrill from them that resonates with them in ways that they can't necessarily get out of other stuff. One of the goals in making Persona 5 then is to give those people an outlet to explore those thrills and experiences, that sense of freedom that the protagonists themselves have within the context of the game. Although that being said, I won't deny that a lot of us were also just way into stories about good-natured thieves like Lupin III growing up too. And he just laughs. Do I have to laugh? Like that's an evil laugh. Sojima, so I'll talk about this paragraph. It's a long paragraph. It's a long. So essentially, he just he wanted to say he wants us to. He loves the idea of people living out their fantasy stuff that they just can't do. You can't rob a shop and think that you can get away with it. But in a fantasy world, that's what you do. You rob. Yeah, that's the thrill. That's the excitement that you feel. So maybe he wanted to tap into that, into like our society right now, because if you think about it, our society is very based in law and stuff like that. Like, it's for good reason. We don't want people going out stealing shit all the time. But he just sees that as a good theme to work with. He wants us to feel like we are trapped in society. We're like, well, technically we are. I'm not saying that police are bad. I'm saying police, like, I'm saying that our society now is what it is. It's a society that is governed by rules. But he wanted to create a game in which you live out the fantasies that you don't follow those rules. You do whatever you want, and and you have like all of this sort of like feelings of being free and breaking the chains to do whatever you want. That's the best feeling in that case. And he then pretty much just compares it to thief and heist stories, which are the most interesting because you kind of think you kind of want to become them, because you kind of envy a character that is working towards something that is clearly not like legal or anything like that, but you see them as like, wow, they really like, they are amazing. You look up to them in a weird way, like, because they are technically a bad person, but that's what he's trying to say. Like Lupin the Third, or who maybe like a heart of gold, like a thief who doesn't steal from bad people, like that kind of sort of motif that like is really appealing, because you are doing something wrong, but you're doing something good at the same time. That's sort of like the thrill, the balance. But Sojima then pretty much Sojima responds, to that end, it's why you see the protagonist smiling, gruely, and whatnot in the main promotional image we've put out, to emphasize that tonal undercurrent running through our game. So, yes, it's a facade. Maybe it's a facade, but like I said in a couple of videos before, I think the style is just switched now. Like, you play as a thief, you play as a phantom thief. That's your true side, and the facade is you walking through Shibuya, just being normal. So I think he just that promotional image, which I'll put up here, of him smiling is pretty much just that. It's just that, really. So that's pretty cool. I might have to take a break in between these, because I don't think I can read the Dancing All Night one. There'll probably be a separate video, because this is really, I'm doing my best trying to keep it at the same pace. But Hashino then responded, we wanted people to look at that imagery and get the impression he runs with an intriguing crowd, one with enough gall to potentially pull off some daringly intriguing stuff. He's a trickster at heart. He and his crew stir things up, and along the way, maybe they bring a little change to the world around them too. It's not the most stable of lives a person can have, but it's also a life of limitless possibility. The world really is his oyster. If people get that impression from looking at him, then we can rest easy knowing we've done our job. Yeah, you did that. Like I pretty much said that he's pretty much he's living the life. He's living everything he wants, and he can do whatever he wants. He's not shackled by society. He does things himself, and the things I didn't know about was that he wanted to do something that changed the world around him. It could be something that we don't know yet. Like, it could be like what I mentioned in another video, which was this world, like the Shibuya social link. So maybe when he dons on the Phantom Thief persona, and he's talking to the crowd maybe through like let's say, good example, Lelouch, when he talks to the people of Japan through the monitors as Zero. I think that's what's going to happen. So maybe that's sort of the connection. Maybe he gets a different sort of like, maybe that's the if I compare it to older Persona games, you know how in the older Persona games you have the I think it's Fool Arcana, and how it's in Persona 3 it's relating to the C's team, and as you guys as the crew grow closer, it goes up in rank. And if it's the Persona 4 equivalent, it's when it's the investigation team, every time they draw closer to the answer. So I think it's the same for Persona 5, except it's relating to maybe the crowd, maybe the populace, or anything like that. So as he becomes more notorious, and he becomes more infamous, his rank goes up. So maybe that's relating to that. That's what I think. I think that's a really good theory, actually. In the trailer we showed at the concert, this is Sojima. There are a handful of other friendly characters you can see as well, and they're all also very much so people who aren't afraid to express themselves on their own terms. How well they can actually lead such a life, that's a question that has deep ties to both picaresque and thieving aspects of the game. Okay, so the other characters, like I said, I think I mentioned this before, they're not perfect characters, and what I mean by not perfect is they've got some emotional baggage. They've got they're damaged characters, which makes them interesting. So there is a reason why they're doing all this stuff. We just don't know yet, but we do know, like Sojima's pretty much confirmed, yes, they do have problems in their lives, whether it's got to do with money or family or stuff like that. So you even got, okay, so this Hashino, you even get hints of that freedom they have here, and they're just seeing and they're just seeing the opening cinematic. That's why you see them hurling around the screen so much, for instance. Okay, so it's pretty much referring to the stylized anime style cutscene where everything was red and black, and them just like dancing all over the place. So it's pretty much just illustrating them freedom. I said that in a previous video analysis. Man, there's so much. The masks that you also see in that footage during the plundering segments also seem to have close ties to all those themes you mentioned too. Sojima. Definitely. Of course, the word persona inherently has the connotation of things being masked. In a broad sense, it's true in how the cast leads a double life. They go to school during the day, and then at night they're out on the prowl to steal. But it's also true that the plotline more overtly plays up the mask motif in a very literal sense compared to the previous games. So I wanted to ensure that such visual elements of the game were similarly straightforward too. Good. Okay. Pretty much just saying, yes, the word persona is now not just a word to describe your power in the game, or your inner self. This is now projected into the outer self now. So we're going to see more of that. So it's more like a theme change than previous games. So that's interesting. I want to see more of that. Going right along. I take it the urban setting also plays into the picaresque aspects of the game too. Hashino pretty much says, oh yeah, without a doubt, in big cities all throughout Japan, every day people get on their trains, packing tight, and the masses all flow this way and that during their ride as they make their way to school or work. There's nothing inherently good or bad about that sort of mass ritual on the face of things, but these characters who are in the center of all that, as well as are still different. They're out doing stuff that nobody else can hope to imitate. That dichotomy between what's ostensibly real and surreal, what's divergent from reality is as what people often know it. That's something that belongs right at home in a Persona game. I'd argue, really, I'd say it's true for a lot of the games we make at Atlas, and that continues to be how we're approaching this game from as we make it. A lot of big words in that one. Oh, I'm not gonna lie, I was really scared I was gonna mess it up. But Hashino is pretty much saying that we live our lives very routine. Very routine. It's one of those things where, like, even I'm starting to live it on routine. Unironically, these videos is it's my freedom. I should wear a Persona mask. Maybe I should. I'll probably ask some cosplay friends if they have any masks. But essentially, what Hashino is saying is that it's not a good or bad thing. Like, it's not a good or bad thing. It's just something that's there. Like, I think it's just something that's there. So he's just saying that yes, characters have that. But it blurs the line between what's real and surreal, because you sometimes think, oh, there's so many people on, like, not, that's like a kind of like a weird example. It's just like, I'm just a cog in the machine. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm just kind of just here. I'm not really a person. I think that's what he's trying to say. He could be totally wrong. I'm sure someone in the comments is going to call me out on it. That's okay. We're all here to learn. So, we're all here to learn, and we're all here to study. Oh my god, we finally reached the end, I think. Okay. I really hope that's the end. Lastly, do you have anything you'd like to share with people who are anxiously waiting the release of Persona 5? That's me, people. That's you, that's me, that's everyone, that's every Persona fan right now. Hashino, we've been very fortunate to have created a series of games where people feel so attached to each of the protagonists. So we hope that with Persona 5, we'll be able to make a game where the events of it really hit home and make for really impactful experiences. There are people in this industry who feel traditional console and handheld games are losing their edge, and I think it goes without saying that the very definition of games and the potential that they hold has started to really broaden, but we're still of the opinion that there are some things that can only be experienced on a console, especially when it comes to RPGs. We've heard from people that games like Persona are the reason they've started playing RPGs again, and we're working really hard to make this new one another such game that can reach out to people and grab them. I know it's been a long wait, but I hope you'll give us a little bit more time. Hopefully once it's out, it'll all be worth it in the end. Oh, Hashino, please, you are doing way more. You've given us, the fans, plenty of information to really dissect, and it's amazing. Okay, so essentially, that is all for the Persona 5 information we've got so far. I'm really sorry if this was a long video. I wanted to like just go through it. There'll be follow-up videos for the next ones, for Persona 4 Dancing All Night, but they aren't really on my agenda. I might take a break from this because Persona 5 is what's important. Persona 5 is our life. Persona 5 is our love. So we need to know about that straight away. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I can't wait to hear what you guys think. I really want to, like, sound off in the comments below. Tell me what you guys think about this information. I think it just gives us way more detail, like a little bit more detail. It just confirms a lot of things, and it gives us a really good insight on what these two are thinking. These two are geniuses, because they are taking the old school approach of video gaming, not like a new school where it's just like, let's ship it out the door because we need money. No, these guys want to make a game that's just straight dead on what it sets out to do. And it is an RPG, and an RPG is a role-playing game, and they want you to feel like you're in that role. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I mean, give it a like, give it a comment, please subscribe, and I hope to see you guys again. And take care, guys. More Persona 5 news. Once it's out, I'm straight on it. Koi51 out.